third episode about the complete renovation of a rotten and abandoned house. Links to episodes 1 and 2 are in the description. I created a playlist where I'll put all the episodes, so if you missed one, you'll find what you're looking for in that playlist. Basically, we're in a house that's about 50 square meters. We also have a garage and a pretty big yard. This wooden house sits on a concrete foundation with cinder blocks for a crawl space. Then a wooden structure and fiber cement on the outside, the right little tiles, a coat of paint, and that's it. Inside, it had been empty for years, was rotten, and a scammer charged 5,000 euros for a shower cabin, despite everything being in terrible shape. Climbing plants are beginning to grow inside our walls. In short, we tear everything down and start over from scratch. In the first episode, we changed the garage door, reviewed the project, I explained the terrace, and we tore down interior walls. In the second episode, I tore off the plasterboards on the outside. I still have to remove the insulation. I removed the insulation from the ceiling and took down all the plasterboards, so I still have to get rid of all that. I need to remove insulation from the wall linings, clean the framework thoroughly, and shut off all electricity. I won't film cleaning the framework since it's just removing cobwebs, beehives, wasp and bird nests. We clean everything just to start fresh with a clean base. And I'm going to give the wall linings and the framework a coat of paint. It can't hurt. That will let me try out a new paint sprayer and give you a chance to win it. So, a little giveaway contest coming up. Stay tuned. We clean this up and cut the power. In this video, we're also going to break down the concrete fence outside for the future terrace. In the previous episode, I started breaking the step that leads outside so I could redo it for my terrace posts. We need to level everything and build a formwork. We also found a drain running from the kitchen to a manhole. We'll have to go dig and check all of that. I also want to clear out this whole part of the floor because over there, that's the bathroom. Everything was rotten, so removal will be easy, but here it'll be harder, knowing that they put 3 layers of flooring over the years. Yeah, that's how it is. I need to clear this out and see what's underneath. I usually don't touch this part. It's, let's say, in good condition. It's not rotten, but I want to light up what's underneath. So I'll get the strip light I put in the attic, and in the attic we'll put an LED strip. Well, I wasn't expecting miracles, but hey, we can always hope. Given the state of the electrical panel, the ground rod is right there. I thought to myself, hey, we might as well test the ground before shutting everything off. I used one of the grounded outlets since not all outlets in this house had a ground. 658 ohms. How can I say there's a small problem? The magic box. The Seafram Megawatt 9325. See the description for those interested. So, it's a tester that gives us a lot of information. We can do plenty of tests, including generating reports for a console, for example. I'm not generating any reports here because with values like these, I'll get called out. 231 volts is perfect. But on the other hand, the ohms, 658, ouch, ouch, ouch. So, to run the test, you hold down the red button that starts the test. 660, that's not any better. So, we'll have to fix this problem by moving the ground rod or by adding another one. As if we didn't already have enough work. Ideally, you want to be around 50 ohms, between 0 and 50, but you shouldn't go over 100. But here, 660. The ground is annoying for that because you never know where to put your ground rod to get a good value right away. Maybe it's damp there, so that lowers the value. I might have to move it into the garage with just one rod, and I get a great value. Or maybe I'd need 50 rods in the garage to get a good value. Or maybe if I move it over there with one rod, I'll get a decent value. I'll just have to put in a second rod, or maybe I'll need 4. I don't know. I need to run some tests. You put in your rod, you take the measurement. A second if one isn't enough, a third if 2 aren't, and so on. Until you get a value of about 50 ohms, that's perfect. So this little box, we'll talk about it again because it's just awesome. Seafram generally makes great equipment. All links are in the description. They manufacture many measuring tools, especially for electricians. What wire can I run through this conduit? Do we have enough space? Yes, there's plenty of room.
So wait, we don't have black, brown, purple, or orange.
I can get them through if I use some lubricant. It'll go through. The insulation on the walls is going to recycling, and the wood, I kept it hoping to salvage a few pieces. There are many nails in there and I have to sort out the broken and rotten pieces. You get the idea? It's going to be a nightmare and a huge waste of time. I'm getting rid of everything with a dump truck, then taking it all to recycling. I'm going to get new rafters to rebuild part of the small shed that's right behind me and the fence. And we're going to put siding on the rest. It'll look great. Do you remember the tornado? In the previous video, I used it to dust myself off, and I explained to you that it's super handy for car mats, couches, and car seats. Anyway, I found a new use for it. It's cleaning the framework, and it works really well. I swept earlier, so you can see everything that fell on the floor. There were still several nests. I'll show you. And then I treated everything with something. Now, it's something I won't mention on purpose because it's very, very dangerous. Of course, you can do it. It takes two. We'll discuss it later. It was really nasty here. See, it's a bit oxidized and needs treatment, but now it's clean. Up there we had nests. It's spotless now, there's nothing left. There you go, everything is finished everywhere. Well, it still took me 2 hours of my time. I didn't have to do it, but it would have really bothered me to leave something disgusting. Either we do things properly all the way, or we do nothing. And me, I prefer everything to be spotless. Come on, let's check over there. I'm trying to hold myself up too. It would be a shame to fall. Oh, right, so Linky, I'll put it here for now. And I managed to tap into the line that powers the garage and the gate. So as a result, the gate is still motorized, which isn't bad at all. On the other hand, I don't have electricity in the house anymore, but I do have my little battery, which works for me. There we go, everything's done, you get it. What else did we have? Oh, it was really disgusting in that corner. And then, here the second duct, everything is clean. So we're going to go back down. And then I'll explain to you what I did to take care of all that. But yes, it's quite dangerous. So everything that's on the floor, as you understood, is what fell from the framework when I swept. And of course the tornado. I blew everything into every nook and cranny and I thought I had removed it. Almost everything fell from the ceiling along with everything else that came down. I picked out a few things for you. Wasp nest, beehive. They're everywhere. The house was full of them. Impressive. There's a bird's nest right here. But still no rodents though. Now that's a mystery. I swept everything to clean up the biggest mess. Then I used the tornado to get into all the corners and blew away all the remaining dust up there. And then I used something. Now I'm not going to show you because it's very dangerous, but you'll understand. You know Indiana Jones when he goes somewhere and needs to get rid of spider webs and he needs to scare away snakes. He uses something that burns. Well, I did the same thing. I played Indiana Jones in the attic. Everywhere I found nests. Everywhere, especially along the ridge, there was straw stuck up there because the birds had a field day. Beehives stuck in there. Well, I scraped and scraped to remove as much as possible. And then, bam, Indiana Jones in there. I did the walls, I did the framework, I did the tiles. There's nothing left for me. Now I'm ready. There's not a single spider web left, so it's spotless but still really dangerous. I'll repeat, if you must do it with someone else. I had the water hose and was alone, so I brought it inside just in case. If you must do it with someone. One person does the treatment while the other stands by with the hose in case of emergency. That's it. But I'll say it again, it's really dangerous. Why bother with drain pipes when you can connect the toilet directly to the polyvinyl chloride by heating it up? Plus, what's convenient is that it's adjustable in height, you see? That's pretty clever. Kitchen info, 4 by 2.6 m 10.4 square meters. I have the reference. 408, 452 at 8.38 per square meter. Finding the same one will be tough. I don't know where it was bought, but I have the reference. When removing a floor, always consider if it can be reused. Garden shed garage in a basement, even under the above ground pool, to prevent weeds from damaging the liner.
You can put it in the attic if you don't mind carrying it up since it's heavy. You can reuse it.
So you have to fix it, of course. For example, here it's cracked. A good piece of tape underneath and it's good to go again. For the garage, basement, garden shed, whatever you want. Double-sided tape, that's a nightmare. It's a pain to remove. And also, you see, it sticks. So, the little trick is to take some dust from the trash bag or whatever you have on the floor, and then you sweep it over it. There's some dust. It's perfect, done. And now, if I walk on it, it sticks much less. We're going to do a quick pass. There you go. Well, perfect. Impeccable. It doesn't stick anymore. The old stained vest, very important. You should always have one, just like an old stained pair of pants. It allows you to treat a facade, a roof, or the inside of a house made of fiber cement with facade cleaner. You saw that the traces of moisture disappear relatively quickly. So it didn't smell damp, but there were traces, because on this side we're hardly exposed to the sun. So I treated everything. We're good to go again. But really wear old clothes, because otherwise your clothes are going to get ruined. So now we're going to be able to cut the floor, because that's going to be a nightmare to remove. There are nails everywhere, so we're going to cut everything. I took out the plunge saw, the reciprocating saw. We're going to cut big panels and clear all of this out. The good thing is, it's easy to remove since it's so rotten. You don't even need to force it. It's been drying for years and now just turns to dust. The toilet drain goes that way, which makes no sense. I expect more surprises with this. Yeah, that's all just dust. There you go. You can just go through it. Shower, then go straight to the crawl space. So the good news is it's super dry in there. There's no water at all. And the other good news is it's oak. So here I'm walking, I'd say on joists, but they're even sturdier than joists, and it's oak. That's actually great news. I'll show you the bad news here so you can see. There's a big dip here, so I need to straighten at least 6 lengths. Let's go back up. After that, I'll install the oriented strand board drains, pour leveling compound and reinforce it. But wasting leveling compound is pointless. Might as well straighten this out and do something proper, so we're going to have some fun fixing this. The other bad news is that the drains go off in that direction, and I don't get it. There's no septic tank on this property. I checked, we're on the main sewer, but why does it run that way when the street's over here? And here we've got, I don't know how much distance with the garden. There's another house behind, so a neighbor. On the side, I have neighbors. The street over there is farther away, so I don't understand. It's out of my hands now. I won't enjoy digging up the yard just to find the drain. I'm focusing on the house. After, the owner will decide what to do. If he wants to dig up his garden to see what's underneath, he'll do what he wants. Okay then. It would be interesting for me to show you how it was built at the floor level, the foundations, floor and walls. It's fascinating to take this apart and see how it was done back then. So of course, under this part of the floor, it's the same as here, as you can imagine. But this one, this floor, I'm not touching it. It stays there, it's in good condition. Let's just say it's not rotten. So the floor, let's get closer here, the little foundations. You have to imagine it was dug out, concrete poured in, and likely reinforced. They build a row of cinder blocks, then add a batten along the top. Another row of cinder blocks goes on top of that. So it goes all around the perimeter of the house. We lay the beams so in oak. For me, this is oak. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but for me, this is oak. So it's laid on the cinder blocks. They put a kind of small formwork. They pour concrete or mortar, but it looks like concrete. That keeps the beams in place. As I said earlier, we'll need to fix and straighten 6 beams. So we're going to break this concrete and this little formwork, and we're going to straighten all of that. So this is our floor. A little spacer from time to time doesn't hurt. There are different metal straps. As I mentioned, the cinder blocks go around the house at the foundation. We have metal straps, but I'm not sure what they're for. Probably to hold the beam against the cinder block, but anyway, it's really rotted. Next, on top of the cinder blocks, we build the wall structure. That's the bathroom water damage. I won't discuss it since I'm redoing everything anyway. Let's focus on this one, for example. This is the equivalent of a rafter covered with plywood, which is about 1 centimeter thick. And I was thinking, well, that's strange. Every 1 meter 20 on all the walls of the house, every 1 meter 20, we have the equivalent of a rafter covered with plywood that's 1 centimeter thick. And I asked myself, what is it for? Why does he cover this rafter with plywood and not the rest? Well, it's to make up for the thickness of the 3 battens, because in between. Each rafter covered with plywood, so every 4 feet we put 3 layers of battens to make a framework with a horizontal batten at the top and bottom. So we have a batten that's against the fiber cement, a batten in the middle. So they make a kind of assembly. The bottom, we cover everything and nail it. And in the rafters, they cut through and pass the battens. So it makes a complete structure. But it does hold up. It may seem light, but it's sturdy. The house has stood for 40 or 45 years and it hasn't gone anywhere. So on top of that, then it's fiber cement, but it could be wood, it could be another siding, it doesn't matter. Here it's fiber cement, it's not very thick. Come on, I'll show you the thickness. You can see it here. It's about 1 centimeter thick, not even. And so for the partitions, they put in reinforcements. So this was the partition for the closet and the bathroom. And they nail directly onto it. Once the drywall is installed, you come and nail it. That's what I tore out in the first episode. For the ceiling, same thing. Reinforcements must be nailed in that direction since we can't attach to the framework. We can only attach in that direction. If a partition arrives, like for the toilet, we have the partition and the reinforcements to attach it. To move in that direction, we're good since we already have the framework. And so the framework rests directly on the wall structure once they're assembled. So it's a framework. Let's call it the American or W style since it forms a W shape. Here's our little house. I know I'm repeating myself, but at least it stands strong. This house has been standing for 45 years. It must have gone through some little storms. And well, it's still here. I was thinking, yeah, in the end, we can build another little house. It's not complicated to make out of wood, and it's going to be really interesting to do. We'll use the crawl space for drains, while water supply lines will continue to run through the attic as before. And it's much better, because if we need to do any work, it's simpler. And anyway, this crawl space is inaccessible. Once the floor's installed, that's it. We won't have access to the drains anymore. So, should I maybe make a hatch system in the closet in the floor with a mini collector? If we ever need to, I'll run a drain snake through there. Why not? I'll think about it. But for the rest, once the floor is installed, that's it. So, drainage to crawl space, water and electricity via attic. The laser on the small box. And here, it's just flush with the beam, so we're really right on it. Well, look at the difference. It's still good. In that corner, it's mostly fine, but then it dips and rises again. Here. So here it gets pretty good again. But yeah, there's still quite a bit to climb. But it's crazy. I don't know why though, we're doing fine. They placed the beams on top of the cinder block without wedging them underneath, and that's it. That's crazy. For now, I'll film this one for you. We'll have to check all of them. So some of them will dig, others will make bumps. It will never be perfect, but we'll try to get as close as possible to something perfect. We're going to build it up. I used a broken piece of concrete as a base. For now, the idea is to put them right at the level of the laser and then add some kind of shims, so that it holds temporarily while I redo the concrete all along. And so it's permanently set. So to lift them, we're going to use the new Bayceps. Baygyps. It's brand new, it's looking great. For those who know the Bessie brand, you know its quality, it's tough. I have many clamps from them, which I've shown in videos. Their equipment is great and the link is in the description. There's a little QR code right here. So I haven't scanned it, to be honest. I'll show it to you, you can check it out. This one lifts up to 23 centimeters and supports up to 180 kilograms. If I need to raise it, I press here. If I need to adjust it precisely, this is where I do it. I lower it millimeter by millimeter. And if I need to raise or lower it all at once, I press here and I can lower it and raise it. So you can feel that it's quality, you can tell it's sturdy, it's Bessie. So we're going to position it here against the beam. We press and then it will go up. And the idea is to line up with the laser. I'm too high, let's go back down. I'm looking at my laser and can see it clearly, we're good here. On the beam, so we're pretty good. The goal, of course, is also going to be to measure the width, so we don't go too far off track. And then I'll put in some shims. Basically, I'll wedge it in every direction so it doesn't move anymore. And we're going to redo the concrete, like I told you. And we have to do them all, check them all. So he's got a bit of work to do. This whole beam situation has been complicated. I'll explain to you later why. Alright, they're all done except for this one. We'll do it together. I had to do it several times. But yeah, it was really complicated, so I made myself a gauge. Place the laser on the battery, ground or workbench, anywhere works. The goal is to make a gauge. I put orange tape on the laser line to make it easier to see. Draw your line based on the laser. And now we'll be able to place this gauge on each beam and raise or lower it. I had to raise them myself. So this one, look, we're lower. You can see the laser line, it's right here. I need to raise it up to here. So we have quite a bit to lift. We'll do that with our buddy Biceps, who's here. I put a shim on the floor and then this right up against the beam and we screw it in. So our buddy Biceps, we position him under the beam. We lift, we lift, we lift, we lift, we lift. We check the gauge at the same time. I'm not sure if you can see the laser line clearly. For me, it's here. Lift up until you reach the laser line, maybe a bit more. When I let go, the beam might drop a little because it's going to settle on this ground, which looks more like sand than anything else. So we wedge it in place. This one here. I mentioned the test presses to you earlier. There we go. And now that our hands are free, we can put in a screw. We remove it, we lower Biceps, we check the gauge, and we're good. We're right on the laser line. That's it, it's done. Why was it complicated? Now that it's done, I can explain. Here. So I started from over there. Okay, I get to about here. And that's where things start to go wrong. It goes down, it goes down. But more and more, I'm telling myself, this is normal. I need to bring it up as much as over there. And actually here, it goes down this way and like that. So I had to cheat between the highest point and the lowest point. To find a compromise, I found a compromise. So we're pretty good. I'll show you. We'll do a test with my little gauge.
But it would have been complicated.
Once you get there, you realize it doesn't match elsewhere, so you have to start over. I did this 3 times, each time removing everything to begin again. So I get my gauge back. If we line it up with him, then we're good. If we line it up with him by chance, so we're good. We're good now. And if we go check all the way over there, it's handy to step over all that. Can't wait to redo the floor. And there, we're good. Perfect. But yeah, over there, it was very, very, very complicated. It goes down, heads that way, then comes back up. That's the magic of wood. It changes over time, so you have to adapt. But that's usually the kind of job you expect to go well since it's not complicated. You have to raise or lower a beam, you take a gauge, you use the level, but once you adjust one side, it stops working on the other or in the middle, and it becomes a headache, so I spent 3 hours on it. Honestly, at one point I was fed up. I thought, why am I bothering with all this? I might as well get rid of everything and start over, but that wasn't in the budget, otherwise I would have thrown everything out. And then a concrete floor was the solution, but it wasn't planned in the budget. So for this part, I had to remove it for the drainage. Normally, the other part stays there and is actually pretty good. That's the worst part. Here, we had a crazy dip between 4 and 5 centimeters. You could see it with the naked eye. When we walked, it felt like we were going off all by ourselves over there. Now we're actually pretty good. I now have a 7 or 8 millimeter difference, which is minor compared to the previous 4 or 5 centimeters. Like I said, I have to take everything out and start over. First, oriented strand board, then fiber reinforced leveling compound. Finally, the magic product you'll soon discover. But you've already seen it, I've shown you. There's something I absolutely have to do because I'm not going to bother pouring concrete between each beam. It's completely pointless. I'm going to get some joists, cut them into small lengths, and they'll rest the joists on the cinder blocks, and I'll screw them into the beams. That way, I can remove the little shims I put in, which are temporary. But I realize there's moisture coming up, and that's been happening since I broke the steps for the future terrace. I'm going to have to build the form on the outside and even out what I broke with mortar. And I'm going to tar everything. It's not after the terrace is installed that I'll have to say, I should have tarred it because in fact moisture can rise up, so we're going to tare it. Once it's tarred, I put down my pedestals and we can install the terrace and inside under the beams. I'm going. So these are rubber pads. I need to find them. I don't know where I'll find them, but in a hardware store we'll find them. I'm going to cut strips and put them against the cinder block and on the cinder block for the beams. That way my beam won't be in contact with the cinder block. If ever water seeps in, at least it won't rot over time. Simple as that.
But hey, we're getting there. That's what matters.
But yeah, that's a real headache, this thing. The solution is to tear everything out and redo it, or even tear down and rebuild the house. If it were up to me, it would have been torn down long ago. When something's on my mind, it's all I can think about. The drainage issue really bothered me. I had the pickaxe in my hands. I was struggling to remove the edging. I was about to break down that fence. And I thought, wait, as long as I have the pickaxe in my hands, let's go check out the drainage. Because this whole thing is bothering me. I absolutely want to know where it goes. So, if you remember during the second episode, it seems so, we removed the water heater. And so there was the toilet drain and there was a piece of 40mm polyvinyl chloride that had been added. Because originally there was a bidet with a copper drain. They tapped into that. Anyway, the copper went into the polyvinyl chloride. Like that, it was the paint that made it watertight. And so it went outside like that. And I thought it was connected to the toilet drain. Well, not at all. I just made a discovery thanks to my little pickaxe while digging around the drain. Let's go take a look. But first I'll show you so we can remember what was here. So here we had the toilet, the shower, where everything rotted. The toilet, the drainage goes that way. And here we had the water heater with the 40mm polyvinyl chloride that was added for the sink drainage from the water heater, and it went off in that direction. So with this kind of pipe that's broken, we don't care. Anyway, we're going to redo everything. There you go. So for me, that was connected to this. So let's go check outside. I'm enjoying digging a hole to find the water supply. In the end, these 3 cinder blocks were useful. Just to wipe your feet on the doormat, quite simply. The little find of the day, look at that, isn't it beautiful? So originally the copper was here. I moved it. But anyway, I removed all the borders. I was planning to remove the borders, break the concrete fence and so on. And with my pickaxe, I said, I don't know, this whole drainage thing is on my mind. Let's go dig for the water supply first, just to clear it out. Of course, we have the drainage for the water heater. Well, formerly the water heater and formerly the sink in 40. And next to it, the polyvinyl chloride drain for the toilet, which flows into something that barely resembles a drain. Everything goes to the sewer. So we're going to run a camera in there to inspect it and see how far it goes. It looks like it goes off this way. And here, of course, we have the kitchen drain, which should flow into it. So I dig, I come across this, I keep digging, and I feel something blocking the way. A first and second plate. So I lifted a plate, I looked at what was inside, it was filled to the brim, I emptied it, I removed the second plate, and I come across this. But then, what is this thing? It looks like an old septic tank that's no longer in use. And what I don't understand is why. I'll try not to fall in. We have that there. There, you see, there's a hole there. If it fills up, it's so it empties somewhere else. There's a second tank, a second pit there. I don't know. I don't understand everything. Or maybe it's an old one. Is it a stormwater drain? We don't have a gutter. Everything just runs off onto the garage roof to drain into the garden. So that would be it. It fills up over there, and then it fills up again, the different levels, and then it drains out. Or maybe it's the old house system, septic tank, and it's been abandoned since then, because they brought in polyvinyl chloride pipes and connected everything to the sewer. If you have any explanations, if you know what it is, I'm all ears, honestly. Go ahead, enjoy yourself. He's pretty alone. After removing all the wood, I still need to get rid of the scrap metal. Some people put fountains in their gardens, so why not a toilet? I almost left without my little screwdriver. Golden rule. You never leave any power tools on the site, that's a rule. Someone comes onto the site, they want to look around. He'll have gained a pickaxe and a shovel. He can take the rubble, the toilet on the site, he can take that. But he won't get the power tools. That's all. Too bad for him. Well, I'm happy because overall things have moved along well, even if we had a little surprise outside with that septic tank situation. As I said before, I don't want to complicate things for myself, so I won't dig up the whole yard to see what happened back then. I'll close it up and connect to the main sewer we found. I'll run a camera through to ensure everything flows and isn't blocked. We just connect to that. It's that simple. Once I've connected and run the drains under the floor, we can reinforce the floor and run electrical conduits for the terrace and possibly the garage. And then after that, we close up the floor and we can move on to the construction phase. Just so you know, I have a bit of demolition to do with the concrete fence. Once that's broken down, that's it. I don't have any more demolition to do. We clear that out, then move on to the construction phase as I told you. After the floor is in, we can focus on ventilation using Bink's setup. With the framework ready, I need to handle that next. So, concrete fence, terrace, floor, ventilation system. Once that's done, we can handle the electricity, plumbing, and water heater in the garage. After that, things will move quickly, just installing partitions, electrical circuits, plumbing, and so on. The plumbing, as I told you, we'll run it through the attic. It's that simple. You know everything. We'll meet again in 2 weeks for the new video, simply the continuation of the work. If you're renovating, I wish you strength and courage. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. You know how YouTube works now. You really have to push the videos so they go up in the YouTube algorithm. We'll see each other in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, take care and work well.